Ever since I made my Spaza tech tips guide on how to reduce input lag in OSU, I've been inundated with Discord messages, YouTube comments, talking to me about the church of OpenTabletDriver. Spaza, why do you use Devocab in 2020? Devocab is so bad. If you use OpenTabletDriver, you will get less input lag, your aim will become 1000 times better, and your dick size will increase while you're sleeping. Well, unfortunately I can't really vouch for that last thing. Me personally, the only way I know of increasing your penis size significantly is subscribing to my Twitch over at twitch.tv/spaza17, but anyway. I have actually had my fair amount of experience with OpenTabletDriver back when it was in its most primordial form. It used to be another fork of vMultiDriver, which if you guys don't know, that's the Hoku tablet driver, but now it's a completely different thing of its own that it's claiming to be way better, so I'm here to test it today, make a comparison with other tablet drivers and see whether it's true or not. Before I do that, however, let's get up to speed. There are basically 3 different tablet drivers people use if you're not talking about the manufacturer drivers, which I believe most people don't really use these days. The first one that I mentioned earlier is called vMultiDriver, also known as the Hoku driver, the Reddit drivers, the Epic, PogChamp drivers, they have plenty of names. Then there is Devocab, which is a fork of that very same driver, and now what used to be the Infinity Ghost vMultiDriver fork, yet another version of the Hoku driver, has turned into OpenTabletDriver, and it's a completely different thing that's standing on its own. The first thing that OpenTabletDriver has compared to the other two is that there are developers that are actually actively working on it, getting feedback from people, and the last update is from a couple of months ago, so it's not 4 years old like the other ones in essence, which is very good considering that technology is changing, our tablets are changing, and maybe we need some more specific things to play OSU better. I'm guessing the developers are actually watching this video, in which case I hope you will take anything away from my feedback. Obviously this is all gonna be my subjective opinion, and I have 3 tablets to test things with. I have a Wacom CTH480, aka Wacom Intuos, aka the one tablet that top players use. Then I have a Gaomon S620 and an XP Pen G640, so I'm gonna be using those drivers for every single tablet and figure out whether it really makes a difference. Is it really worth it to switch from whatever you're using to OpenTabletDriver? Hopefully we'll figure that out today. In this particular video I'm gonna be comparing OpenTabletDriver to Devocab, just because that's what I personally like to use, and so we can find out which one is the best. Right off the bat, if we go into the GitHub page for the Devocab tablet driver, we can see that it's been last updated on June of 2019, so that's quite a lot of time ago. If we scroll down, we're gonna find the download as well as the installing guide. There's really no mentions on whether it actually works on Linux or Mac OS. That one I have no way of knowing. I done my research but I actually couldn't find any feedback on that particular thing. But the download is pretty straightforward. You just open this up, scroll down, click on the zip file and you will download it. It's only 5 megabytes, so it takes virtually no time to download this. If we go on the OpenTabletDriver GitHub page, we can see that it's been updated continuously. In fact, the last update is as far as 15 hours ago, and the download is kind of straightforward too. You just go into the installation guide, where we can find out that this is actually available for Windows, both as an installer and portable, meaning you can actually use it with a flash drive. It's available on Linux and apparently on Mac OS too, even though it's experimental. So in my case I'm gonna go down to Windows, download the latest installer executable, and once again I just have to click here and that's the exe file, though it's worth mentioning it's 155 megabytes compared to the 5 megabytes of Devocab. I'm of course gonna leave both of those links in the description so you can download them yourself. Once you do, you will have those 2 files, which are OpenTabletDriver installer and this zip file. So what we want to do now is we want to create a folder, call it Devocab, and we just put the zip file in, extract it, and bam, now we have everything here. We can delete the zip file and we have both our drivers ready to be installed. To my knowledge, the Gaomon S620 is not actually supported by Devocab, which means that for this particular section I will have to plug in my XP Pen instead, but we'll get to that later. When it comes to Devocab, it's really piss easy. All you have to do is click on install vMultiDriver, press enter, and in a couple of seconds it's basically gonna install everything successfully. So you press enter, and if you open up TabletDriver GUI, you can see that everything is set and ready to go. So now what you wanna do is you wanna set your area. Me personally, I'm gonna go with my display number 1. Sorry, this is for your monitors, not your area, but you understand what I mean, right? When it comes to the area though, I don't like to use full area and I don't use force aspect ratio, so I have disabled both of them. Me personally, the one thing I really like about this driver is the fact that I can use the Wacom area values instead of just using millimeters, because I honestly cannot be bothered to remember those values. Instead, what I have to do is simply type in 6400 and then 7200. I believe that is my area, and bam, it is indeed my area. Now, if you want, you can enable filters, smoothing filter, anti-chatter, prediction. It's essentially done. So what you do, you save that, you apply actually before you save it, and you can also select this to run this driver at Windows Startup, which is extremely convenient and a very nice addition in my opinion. Devocab is known for being extremely fast when it comes to the whole installation and setting up process, which is why many people like to use it, including myself. So now let's see whether OpenTabletDriver is up to speed. I'm going to be removing vMultiDriver by clicking on this thing, pressing on enter, and in maybe 5 seconds or so, the driver is now uninstalled from my system. Again, it's so incredibly quick, so let's see whether OpenTabletDriver can keep up. We're going to press on OpenTabletDriver installer, execute it, and we're gonna be met with this. So of course we're going to click on install. I mean, it's easy enough, even a Nusu player can understand that. So let's install it and let's see how long it takes. A whole lot of maybe 10 seconds or so. I mean, that's okay, that's pretty alright. Considering that it's 155 megabytes, I'm guessing there's gonna be a lot more in this particular driver compared to Devocab, so you know, that's okay. There we go, we installed OpenTabletDriver, so now we can start it, and we're gonna be met with this particular thing, which looks a bit strange, but it's okay. So, first of all, display area. Let's see, we have to right click, set to display 1, that's easy enough, but that's not my display 1. So I guess display 2, well, yeah, sure. Tablet area, unfortunately the one thing that's missing here is the Wacom area, which is extremely inconvenient and I don't understand why it's not here exactly. I will definitely add that because it just makes it extremely easier, as I showed earlier. So now I have to go all the way back and basically find a screenshot of my area so I can figure out the measures in millimeters. So give me a sec. There we go. I found out, by the way, that the only two numbers I really have to memorize are those two, so 72 and 64, because these ones are basically just the offset of the positioning of your area on your tablet. So since it's always on the corner, I really don't have to think about those two. So see, I have learned something new today, but still, come on man, Wacom area, that's nice too. Mode is absolute, and you will notice there is no settings to actually enable this at Windows Startup. So you can either open up this file every single time you boot up your computer, even though it's kind of annoying, or I'm pretty sure there is ways to do that within Windows itself. I just think it will be a lot more optimal to just have something like on Devocab where you can click on and it basically makes it so that this program starts as soon as your PC starts up. But anyway, I'm gonna click on apply, then I'm gonna click on save, and now if we go in the different tabs we can see that there are bindings for our pen buttons as well as express keys if the tablet has them, and filters. But an interesting thing, and a thing that was very strange to me at first impact, is the fact that there is no plugins installed in this particular driver. So it's 155 megabytes, but somehow it's missing the basic plugins. I don't really know why this tablet driver just doesn't come in with the plugins and you have to install them yourself. Not that it's a very hard process or anything. I mean, after all you have to do is going into the plugin repository, download the OpenTabletDriver plugins and follow the installation instructions based on your system. In my case it's gonna be Windows, so all I have to do is basically download this folder and then put it myself. But the entire point is, why? Why would I have to do that? Like, what's the point of me having to download the plugins myself and putting them inside a folder? Why not just have the tablet come in with the plugins by default? I feel like that's just an unnecessary extra step, which makes it just more complicated than it's supposed to. And why? Why would you do that? But it's worth mentioning, since I'm talking about plugins, that other than the normal ones that you're used to in every single tablet driver, there is also custom tablet drivers that are made by people in the community, so those are probably gonna be updated. I've been told there is also a plugin that's based on machine learning, which is extremely interesting. I don't know if it's actually a hack, I honestly have no clue, but I'm probably gonna try it, maybe talk about it in one of my next videos. I don't know yet, but my point is that, like, why, man? Why? Why are you doing this to me? Why do I have to do it myself? By the way, I actually messed up earlier. When you reach this particular boss fight, you don't have to click here and download the zip file, but you have to go to releases, then you go to assets and you download this DLL file, which is the one you need to put inside the folder. If you're confused on what folder am I talking about, you just go to plugins, open plugins directory, and you paste the DLL file in there. So now next time you restart your driver, your plugins filters should actually appear. Let's try that. I have restarted my driver and yep, here they are. Here we have them. Let's go, man. Anti-smoothing, anti-noise, and smoothing in general. Now, if you hover on those numbers, you can see there is just a minimum and maximum, but contrary to Devocab, it doesn't actually explain what those are exactly. So for example, anti-noise, it just tells me the minimum amount is 0 and the maximum amount is 5, but it doesn't actually tell me what this does. Now, granted, it's kind of easy to guess once you actually experiment it on your tablet, but I just feel like it will be a very nice addition, you know? Like velocity, what am I supposed to put here? If you want to uninstall it, you just have to close it and then click on uninstall. So it's just as easy as Devocab in that regard. So well, first impression, I will definitely say that Devocab stands on top for being way faster and way easier to set, a lot more user-friendly. But I mean, those are things that can be fixed, they are very minor things, and maybe because OpenTabletDriver developers are actually good people and very hardworking, it's possible that by the time this video goes up, give it one day or maybe give it a couple of hours, and they may actually fix all of these issues. So now let's jump straight into the important part, which is of course the gameplay. So what's the main difference between OpenTabletDriver and Devocab when it comes to gameplay? Well, apparently Devocab, or in general just Houku, has more latency than OpenTabletDriver because Houku uses vMultiDriver, which is essentially a middleman in between your tablet and the actual inputs, while OpenTabletDriver apparently sends direct movements based off of the data from your tablet, eliminating this extra latency. When it comes to the actual gameplay, however, at least for the Wacom CTL480, the experience is basically the same. It doesn't feel like there is an insane difference, it doesn't feel like OpenTabletDriver is night and day compared to Devocab. I'm talking of course if I'm playing without any filters on, which is how I normally play. If I enable filters, I gotta say that OpenTabletDriver feels a bit more choppy. I don't know if it's because those filters are different compared to Devocab or the way they are handled, but personally when it comes to filters I much prefer Devocab in this particular case. When it comes to the XP Pen G640, it's once again basically the same experience. I don't really feel like OpenTabletDriver has a huge advantage in comparison to Devocab when it comes to the actual performance as well as the latency. Like, there is no difference in polling rate. I checked every single value within the tablet itself and it seems like everything is basically the same whether you use vMultiDriver aka Devocab or OpenTabletDriver. To me it's not a massive difference on Windows 10 at the very least. When it comes to the Gaomon S620 though, it's worth mentioning that it's not officially supported by Devocab because it's a newer tablet. There are ways you can try to enable this tablet within Devocab if you use some sort of Illuminati Reddit codes, but I actually tried to do that. Apparently you have to copy paste some stuff inside the setting text file, but it actually didn't work for me, and if anything it's very buggy and not very reliable. So in that case, if you use a Gaomon S620, I definitely recommend you use OpenTabletDriver, and the combination of this particular driver with this particular tablet is extremely smooth and enjoyable to play. It's very nice. So even though gameplay is not significantly different, at least in my personal opinion, there are of course some other advantages that are there in OpenTabletDriver, which I'm gonna talk about briefly. First of all, as I mentioned many times in this video already, the community behind OpenTabletDriver, the developers, are actually very active. In fact, I'm gonna leave a link to the official OpenTabletDriver Discord down there in the description, though you can find it on the GitHub page as well. Another thing is that Devocab basically uses a kernel driver, which is, again, vMulti, and since it's not getting supported anymore and it's not really getting updated, eventually there could be an issue where, for example, some Windows update rolls out and all of a sudden Devocab doesn't work anymore, as well as Hoku driver. So in that case, if you are paranoid about the future, you can already start using OpenTabletDriver, even though it's not really needed when it comes to gameplay at the moment. Another thing is that OpenTabletDriver, as I said, has native support for Windows, Mac, as well as Linux. So in this particular case, what driver wins in my opinion? Well, it's hard to tell really. I honestly feel like it's the same thing, it's the same exact experience if you play with no filters. If you want, you can install OpenTabletDriver, definitely do it if you have a Gaomon S620, but if you don't, it's fine to just play with Devocab or the Hoku driver until you can at the very least. I'm very excited to see what happens in the future with OpenTabletDriver, what things are gonna be enabled, if we're gonna have more plugins, and most of all, if the basic plugins can come with the program itself, so I don't have to install them myself. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, subscribe to this channel, join my Discord, because in December, as I mentioned in my last video, I'm doing a lot of different events on my live stream where I give away supporter to you all. So I'm just saying, if you want to yoink some supporter and support me in the process, make sure to come around. That's it really. Hope you have a good one and I'll see you guys next time.